Hello everyone, welcome to Epilepsy Stories. My name is Robert Fiore, the president and founder of Connecticut Epilepsy Advocate. We started this show to let people become aware about epilepsy. We have our guest here this evening. Her name is Lori O'Driscoll, and she has a organization for Dravet Syndrome. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
This is really great to finally introduce you to the public, your organization, and that lovely girl next to you. Who is that, please?
This is Ciara.
Ciara. Hi. And Ciara has something that we both have. Ciara and I both have epilepsy, but she has a different form. Could you tell us about it, please?
Sure. Ciara has a rare genetic form of epilepsy called Dravet syndrome. It is caused by a genetic mutation of a specific gene, and because of that, she won't outgrow her seizures.
That's sad. Is there anything that's helping her control it? Any medication, diet?
Yes, she actually started on the ketogenic diet shortly after she turned 2. And for those that don't know, the ketogenic diet is a high-fat medical diet that puts you in a state of ketosis and can control seizures. And for Ciara, it's been a miracle. She went from having 150 seizures per day to having 1 to 2 a month. And it's varied over the course of the last 4 years, but she was in a helmet prior to the diet. She wasn't speaking. And
She's speaking now.
Yes, she is.
She's very talkative.
Yeah, so.
She's adorable.
And she's also on 2 medications as well. But one of the things with Dravet syndrome is that it's very difficult to control the seizures.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there is no cure for that.
When is my time?
In a minute, but you need to be quiet right now, okay?
See?
Ciara, or you're gonna have to leave.
That's okay. But you see, she's talkative. That's good.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. So who else is part of your organization? Will you please tell us?
Sure. We founded the organization in October 2009. It was myself along with 2 other mothers, Mary Ann Meskis, who has a 10-year-old with Dravet syndrome, and she's in Illinois, along with Amanda Rentz, who has a 5-year-old Molly, who has a seizure disorder of unknown origin.
Okay. And you do have a website, correct?
We do. It's www.dravetfoundation.org. And we have families all over the country helping us, as well as a group of families in Spain just formalized the DSF Spain.
So it's definitely going to go, it's gone national now. One country at a time will be picking up on it. That's great.
Yeah.
What events have you had earlier this year, and do you have any planned for later in the year?
Yep. We have Ciara.
It's okay.
We have an annual gala that we have each year called Ciara's Butterfly Bash, a benefit for children with Dravet syndrome, and it takes place down in Greenwich. Next year's event's already set. It's March 31st, 2012.
March 31st.
Okay. And then we do a series of walks and marathons that we call Steps Towards a Cure, and we're having 14 this year. 14? 14 in the U.S., 2 in Australia, 1 in Canada, and 1 in the UK.
And full information about that is on your website?
Correct.
No way, Mom.
DravetFoundation.org.
Okay. And as far as the Ciara's Bash, this is what next year will be the 3rd one that you've had?
It will be the 4th one.
4th one. Sorry.
4th one, yep. And we have about 250 guests that come, and it's a great night.
That's a good turnout, and it is fun, though.
Yeah, it's a celebration of hope. We're raising research funds and funds for our patient assistance grant program.
And what does that entail?
Well, so far, we have awarded over $800,000 in research grants.
Wow, now that is fabulous.
Yeah.
You are kidding.
No, I'm not kidding.
She's not kidding.
I don't know, but let's talk about it later, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, prior to starting the organization, Mary Ann and I met through a support group, and at the time we were told there was no research happening. And for us, that wasn't acceptable when we're racing to save our children's lives and those in the future that have Dravet syndrome. So we acted quickly, and that's our mission, is to aggressively fund research. So less than 2 years, we've awarded $800,000, and then we recently launched the Patient Assistance Grant Program, and we've awarded just over $22,000 worth of medical equipment or supplies that insurance won't cover.
That's great, that really is. And I'm sure you know what I know, we learned this, both of us, that as far as getting the word out about epilepsy, it's not something that's easy, but thanks to different things like your own website, Facebook is a great venue. You have a ton of Facebook friends. Connecticut Epilepsy Advocate, we're at just over 2,000 friends, and that's a great venue to let people learn about epilepsy and all the organizations and groups that are involved in it.
Definitely.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that we've spoke about in the past, to make people aware about it. I recommend people look at your website, and of course I'm going to mention our website. It's ct-ea.org. And I look at it this way, and our organization tells people all the time, the Connecticut Epilepsy Advocate website, it's not like a daily newspaper where it gets constantly changed, but there is a wealth of information there to inform the public about the various forms of epilepsy. And your website too has a wealth of information, and it shows the different facets of Dravet syndrome, and like you mentioned before, the other people that interact with you across the country. Yeah. And I think that's great.
Yeah. We also have, within Facebook, we have a private support group where family members can go in. You just have to join, and it's kept private so that you can discuss any concerns you have that are going on with it. And
some great conversations that come up on that just recently, addressing various issues, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
As most of the people know in this area, there's a fabulous reporter. Her name is Ciara Welsh, and we interacted one time about getting an interview done, and she was kind enough to put us on Lifetime. The entire story is about epilepsy. I had the honor of being a part of that interview. Lori was there too. And why don't we take a look at it, please?
Welcome back to Health Corner. I'm Joan London. Now, many people think of epilepsy as a condition that starts in childhood, but did you know that it can develop anytime? Here's Health Corner correspondent Ciara Welsh with more. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Joan. The stigma surrounding epilepsy has changed a lot throughout the years, and with medication and treatment, there is hope for even the most severe cases. 5-year-old Ciara O'Driscoll loves playing with brother Aiden. By looking at her, you'd never know at any moment she might have a seizure.
The doctors were trying to identify the cause. When she was 11 months old, we found out it was a genetic form of epilepsy called Dravet Syndrome.
The rare disease began slowing Ciara's development, and by the age of 2, she was having more than 100 seizures a day. Ciara wore a helmet to protect her from getting hurt.
So she'd be sitting and playing, and whack! It was out of nowhere, as if someone came behind her and slammed her head down.
Ciara was seizure-free the day we met her at her home in Connecticut, but her parents showed us video of her having one. It's difficult to watch. You can see how Ciara jerks uncontrollably. Like other children, hospital visits and brain monitoring have been part of Ciara's life, and so have been the countless questions and stares from people who don't know what's wrong.
I can remember people coming up to me saying, "What's wrong with your kid?" I think people should not be afraid of those who have seizures, and certainly don't be afraid to help them.
Some 3 million Americans are living with some form of epilepsy. Robert Fiore takes several medications every day to keep his seizures under control.
I've had epilepsy since birth, but it was discovered when I was 9 months old.
There were times when the seizures were so frequent, Bob couldn't drive or work.
I never knew I was going to have a seizure. It'd be after the seizure that I'd wake up in the hospital, I'd look around and I'd look on the floor and say, how'd that get there? Or I'd be in a room full of people and I'd look around and say, okay, what happened?
This is a graphic representation of a patient having a seizure.
Dr. Kenneth Vivas studies the brain disorder. He's an associate professor of neurosurgery at Yale.
In epilepsy, there's an abnormal discharge that occurs of these neurons, and there are too many of the neurons all kind of doing the same thing at the wrong time, and it interrupts the normal function of the brain.
Stress, trauma, or high fever can trigger a seizure, but in many cases, the root cause of epilepsy is still a mystery.
In fact, many children initially, when they're having their seizures, it's felt that this is some type of behavioral abnormality or that the patient might have a psychiatric disorder. And it's only after really interviewing a patient and ultimately recording their seizures from their scalp that it's truly understood that this is a form of epilepsy.
Medications help 80% of people with epilepsy go about their lives. But in more drastic cases like Bob's, when medication isn't enough, surgery is an option.
So if we can identify an area of the brain that the seizures are coming from, and we find that that area of the brain does not carry out critical functions, then we would offer a resection of that area of the brain.
The surgery changed Bob's life. He can drive again, and he's been seizure-free now for almost 3 years.
My life is so much better because now I'm able to do more things. I wake up every day with a very positive attitude. I don't have to worry, like, what's going to happen today? How many seizures could I possibly have today?
I did it, Mom.
For the O'Driscolls, medication and a strict ketogenic diet are making a huge difference. The diet consists mainly of high-fat foods that have to be carefully measured.
The diet for us was a miracle, and it gave Ciara her quality of life back. She was able to take the helmet off. Within about a month, she had relearned how to walk again. But more importantly for us, she started developing language. Prior to the diet, she only had about 3 words. Do you know where it went?
No.
Children with Dravet syndrome will not outgrow this rare form of epilepsy. Ciara, though, is defying the odds.
I also have a hope because I have a child living with a severe form of epilepsy who's happy.
Lori O'Driscoll is devoted to raising money for research through the Dravet Syndrome Foundation while providing support for other families also dealing with this seizure disorder. Bob Fiore is also constantly on his website interacting with others, generating awareness and correcting misconceptions about a disease that many people don't fully understand. He knows a stigma still exists.
It's never going to go away, unfortunately, but the stigma is there, but not as bad as it was, in decades prior to this.
Fiore recently joined thousands of others in Washington, D.C. at the annual National Walk for Epilepsy. For Bob, the show of support is symbolic.
Come forth, learn about it, speak to your doctor, find a good neurologist, interact with other people that have epilepsy, and get the word from them.
If you see a person having a seizure, it's important to stay calm. And one tip, if the person is seated, help them to the ground so they can be safe until the seizure passes. Joan, back to you.
Thank you, Sarah. And to learn more about epilepsy, go to our website, healthcornertv.com.
I think that was great. And again, special thanks go out to Sarah Welsh and Joan London and everybody that was part of that company that put that interview together. It was really great.